Hey, this is Lights, and you're watching Front Row Live Entertainment.
Hey guys, Robert here, hanging out with the beautiful Lights. How you doing?
I'm not too bad. I'm flattered.
You play. You just recently released Siberia. Let us know about Siberia.
Second record. Let me tell you, it's a challenge to put out a second record, especially once there's all these expectations of the way your music's supposed to sound. I think for yourself and for your fans too. Like when I made The Listening, my first record, it was like, oh, I can do anything I want. But it's important that you really push past all that and make sure you're doing the record you want to make, and it's exactly what I ended up doing. So it's like, it's a bit grittier, a bit raunchier. It's all pop songs, but I needed to bring in something that was going to do what I couldn't do and echo what I was listening to at the time. So during the whole process of making it, and still now, I listen to a lot of like heavier electro stuff like Crystal Castles and Moncop and like some dubstep stuff. So it started to influence the music, and brought in Holy Fuck to do some cool production on it. Wrote a couple songs with them, brought in Shad to do some rapping. So it's just after a bit of a struggle to let myself, I made exactly the record I wanted. I'm so stoked on it.
And the guest performances that you got on there, they were pretty random from what you would normally do. So how did you go about getting that?
It's funny how like the best collaborations happen really naturally and kind of unexpected. So one of the things I've learned to do is never plan something too much.
Exactly.
So I remember after having written a bunch of songs for the record for about a year, I was freaking out. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do for this record. And then finally, one day I went to like a DJ night in Montreal, and it was like a lot of dubstep stuff. And I was like, I know I want to marry like my soft melodies with something harder. And so that was when everything started to download for the record. And I was telling my manager about it, and his name's Gian. We've been working together for like 10 years. Same like wavelength all the time.
Yeah.
And we had just gotten back from Europe playing Reading Leeds Festival, and Holy Fuck was on our stage. They're like a Toronto-based instrumental electronica band. Super cool and like raw and live, which is really different for electro, right?
Exactly.
Which is usually very structured and I don't know, you can go back and change it, right? It's very controlled. Theirs wasn't like that, And I remember being
boundaries.
No, exactly. There literally are no limits as to what they can do. So Gian was just like, why not try, based on what you're saying, what you want to bring to it, why not try collaboration with Holy Fuck? So I just went over to Brian's house. It was the middle of winter time. Brian's one of the guys. It was with Brian and Graham, and went into their dining room and just jammed. And it's like, I've never made electro like that, where you just jam. And I had this little keyboard, and it was run through like a compressor, which was run through the drum machine, which was run through a gator, which was run through like basically meaning when the drum tracks were affecting my keyboard, which were being distorted, and it was all working together in one piece. And we started to jam for about an hour and a half, and bed tracks for the actual title track of the album, Siberia. The first track we leaked called Everybody Breaks the Glass, and this 9-minute instrumental at the end of the record is all from that first jam session.
Oh, nice.
And it's like a producer's nightmare, right? It's like a mess. And we just started to pitch patch songs together, and there they were. You can't go back and change them, right?
Exactly.
It was so cool, and it brought this degree of life to it that I've never heard with this kind of music. It was awesome.
Now, do you feel like you're going to be doing more like distorted, grungy stuff like more often, or how do you feel about it now? Obviously,
I love it. I mean, it really started to determine the direction of the record. I wanted to go heavier, and it did with songs like Flux and Flow, and then that combined with the work I did with Holy Fuck was like, this is really creating a direction for this record that I would not have foreseen. Who knows if that's where I'm going to be next record? Maybe not, maybe. Yeah. You can never really tell.
No.
That's exactly it. Like, this is a lot different from my first record, and it's important to let your music catch up with where you are. Okay. Not do the same record over again because that's what you think people might be expecting. Exactly. That could be the biggest thing that wounds you as an artist, and I want to like establish that I'm going to give something different every time.
Exactly. And like I mentioned earlier, you played a couple songs for us acoustic, and just about earlier this week, you had to fly out and do an acoustic show. So when writing music, do you keep in mind like I have to make sure that I can play all these songs acoustic, or how does it work?
That's super, super important. Super important. I mean, before I even established my genre, I was a songwriter. I got signed as a songwriter when I was 16 with Sony Publishing, and wrote songs for like TV shows, and they really kind of helped raise me up as a songwriter and show me what the elements of a good song are. So that is like first and foremost. That is the advice I give to anyone who is trying to get in the music industry. Like, good songs are what this industry is founded upon. Everything else comes after. So I always make sure that things can be stripped down acoustically. In fact, with Siberia, in March break this year, I holed up in a cottage on my own and made sure I could play this from front to back acoustically. And not only for things like that, if you get snowed in and you have to go out and do an acoustic show.
You can't just cancel the show.
No, exactly. Or at least try to make it, you know, and give them something. Or acoustic EPs. I put an acoustic EP last year, acoustic versions or this and that. It shows another side of the song that's equally as important as the full thing. And it's just a whole other angle on it, you know.
Okay, and releasing this record, you had some struggles releasing it earlier. I'm pretty sure you mentioned you weren't even sure if there was going to be a record out. So what happened with the record?
I mean, we made this record that we're so proud of, you know, but it was a little out of the ordinary, right? It's not the same stuff you're gonna get from every other artist out there or whatever. It was exactly just what I wanted to make with no sort of inhibitions about, oh, is this gonna be like a hit record? And I think, I don't know what was up with Warner, which is the label that we were on previously, but all we knew is that we were just like, this record is so good, like we have to get this thing out. So Last Gang Records, actually, we're putting it out with them, and they're so on it. And like this label I'm so proud to be part of anyway. I mean, they have Crystal Castles, Metric, Death from Above, Chromeo. It's really cool to be part of, especially for this record and the nature of the record. So for this record cycle, we're with Last Gang, and it's awesome.
That's more collaborations you'll be doing for your next album.
Oh, let's hope so, right?
You just recently released lyrics for Hanging Rope, I believe. What is this song mainly about?
Heavy Rope, is it?
Heavy Rope, I'm sorry.
Hanging a Rope. That sounds a little darker. That was actually one of the older songs on the record. Wrote it last year. Now, the funny thing about this record and my previous work is the previous work was a lot more sad, and ironically sounding a little happier. The new record's a little darker, but it's such a happy record. Heavy Rope being one of the more sad songs on it, and that was one of the older ones. And just I have a lot of high expectations of myself, and I think a lot of people do, you know, and if you don't feel like you're living your life to its fullest, I think it's natural human reaction to be disappointed in yourself. Exactly. And if you're struggling to figure something out, you just feel one thing starts to stack onto another, and you're having a hard time. Sometimes it comes in stints of weeks or months even, and that's the same for everyone, I think. And this song is just kind of about that, you know, like one thing leads to another. It's a slippery slope. You just feel like you're losing control of what you think that you could possibly be. And that was me delving into it. We actually wrote this, I wrote it with Togs, who co-produced and co-wrote almost the whole record with me. A lot of it anyways. And he's amazing. Same with the last record. We've been working together since like 16. Yeah. And we just have the same sort of instincts, and that's what makes a great writing partner, you know? Yeah. You know, that's hours of countless conversation that is unspoken, you know. When we go into a writing session, we understand each other. But I wrote this song, and the lyrics started to pour out, and it was a really honest song. I'll do most of the lyrics on my own. When we write the music, I'll go back and write them. And the song was really special, but the original recording of it was not that great. And so it was just kind of being overlooked, but he and I were just kind of like, this song, there's something so vulnerable and amazing about it. Like, we gotta redo this. So we completely scrapped it and started from scratch, and the recording that you hear is on the record. So we knew it was like worth some, you know.
What could we be expecting for a second single off of this record?
I don't know yet. It's kind of exciting. I mean, it's usually a combination of a lot of people's opinions of what's going to be the next thing that people will latch onto. But there's a couple of songs that I think are really standing out just based on live shows. The new stuff's so much fun to play live, but it's so fun, and it's crazy. I'm really enjoying this tour. But like Where the Fence is Low is one that's so fun that people seem to be latching onto. Banner is one that people seem to be latching onto. Suspension. So I don't know. We'll see.
Are you playing a lot of the record on this tour?
It's like half and half.
Okay. When looking at your music videos, the last couple music videos you had were it was like a superhero feels, fiction and stuff like that. And this music video for Toes wasn't. So how much creative idea do you put in for your music videos, and why was this one different? For starters,
I always have the idea for the video. If the other way around, it's like not writing your own songs. It's like, well, that's another artist, that's not me, exactly. But it's important to collaborate and work with the director and augment each other's ideas. But I always have kind of I think music is such an art that there's visuals that go with it, and that's just part and parcel of the package, But the first record, overall, the production, the vibe, the aesthetic, it was very intergalactic and like spacey and perfect and pristine and glittery. And it was fun to make these videos because, I had outfits, and it was completely, I was like, I want to be this space traveler, and I'd have all these ideas of the way I wanted it to go. And with this record, we went another direction, and it's less perfect. It's the underbelly of electronic. This is the dirty side of pop electro. And that's, the recording, that's with the pictures. The pictures are almost untouched. I remember making sure that we had these classic photos that weren't embellished or anything like that. Like there was one moment in the cover photo of Siberia, they photoshopped out the mole in my chest, and I was like, put that back. That's my mole. So it's important for me on this record to make sure things are very raw and real. And that's what the video was supposed to be too. It was like, how can we get this video to be as real as possible? Oh, let's shoot this guerrilla style in Toronto, show the underbelly of the city. You know, we shot in a subway station between waves of people coming on and off, at a skate park, you know, down back alleys. Yeah, a subway station. Went into like a bar at 1:30, which is a terrible idea. You know, it was like, it's this bar called the Hoxton, and it was amazing, but it was like I had the in-ears in, playing toes in my head, and everyone else is hearing the club music, and they see a camera, and they're all waving and slipping around and fighting. So it was crazy. It was the hardest video I ever shot, but it was cool.
It was really guerrilla style.
It was really guerrilla style. We just walked around. I remember Sean Michael Terrell. I've worked with him on a lot of videos. It's another one of those people that we understand each other, so we work really well together. He had this little amp strapped around his neck and played the song just loud. So I'd be walking down the street, and everyone's just kind of looking. I'm like singing the song out loud, it's blasting, and it's just... It was important to make sure it came off very real, and there was no embellishment. There was no costumes, no props, no sets. And that was the beauty of it, you know? Same with the whole record.
Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned earlier you used to write music for other artists. Do you still do that nowadays, or are you only...
It's raging in the background right now. I don't know if you can hear that. What was that?
You mentioned earlier that you used to write, you started out writing music for other artists. Do you still do that, or do you just focus on yourself now?
It's getting louder. I am... I focused mainly on myself. Even back then, when I was writing for like the TV show here and there, this and that, it was always in the back of my mind that I'm writing for my, you know, the best stuff is for myself, because I knew like what I was capable of and what my intentions were with my music. This was to work the muscle, you know. So maybe it hindered like me getting a huge hit song for someone else, but that's okay. Like I'm saving the best stuff for me.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a songwriter, that's probably the worst idea, but if you're an artist.
Any holiday shows do you have planned out for the rest of this year?
Well, we're going to finish out this tour. We got a few more shows in the States here. This tour flew by, man. It's too much fun. And then up into Canada, all the way across Canada. That'll take us to pretty much December. And then we've got like probably some small stuff in December, and then I think we're going to do a New Year's show at some point. I mean, December's usually pretty chill because everyone's on Christmas break anyway. But then we'll start touring back in January, and straight out more touring, so we'll be back.
Well, thank you for hanging out with us, and I appreciate the acoustics you played for us earlier. And you guys be sure to check out Lights, catch her on tour. Be sure to pick up a copy of Siberia, and if you want to see more interviews and stuff, subscribe to Front Row Live Entertainment on YouTube. And thanks for hanging out. High five. Awesome.